one of Winchester's focal points culturally. Throughout the years, the Little Theater's been involved in a lot of cultural exchanges. We've drawn on a lot of resources from the town. We've also put things back. And here to discuss one of those instances with us today is Gene Babb, who was involved with a fundraiser here that helped renovate Abrams Delight. What do you remember about it, Gene?
Well, Dick, back in the late 50s, the Winchester Little Theatre, in cooperation with the Winchester Frederick County Historical Society, under the guidance of Irvin O'Connell, put on George Washington Slept Here, which I thought was very appropriate for the occasion and the location. And right over that way, we built a stage, kind of a rough but effective stage, and put on a little benefit performance. The weather cooperated. It was an excellent evening, and I have no recollection of what sort of proceeds were garnered from it, but it was a very successful evening. And as you said, another example of how the Winchester Little Theatre is not only a part of the community, but gives something back to it.
I hear Irvin O'Connell's name mentioned over and over again. He was a go-to kind of guy with the theater, wasn't he?
Oh, yes. He was very active. During the war, the Winchester Little Theatre took pretty much of a hiatus. Right after the war, this is WW2, there was a small group of people who put on readings, met at various homes. Then Dual Glover, who had been to Washington to the arena stage, came back and proposed the idea that we do theater in the round. And Irvin O'Connell, in his building down on Wolf Street, donated the second floor for the old bark mill, and that's where they got started right after the war in doing theater in the round.
Gene, I think I saw you the first time that I saw you perform was in probably 72 or 3 at the old courthouse during the night of January 16th.
Oh, yes.
I remember the production because I left there not knowing whether I wanted to be a lawyer or an actor or act like a lawyer. What were some of your favorite shows?
Well, of course, that was an interesting experience, putting on the night of January 16th. That was in the old courthouse down in City Hall. And it lent itself perfectly to that, since the whole play takes place as a trial. So we were very pleased that the city cooperated with letting us put that on, and it made an interesting departure from the normal traditional stage presentation. It's hard to pick out something that I remember. I know in the old theater I enjoyed so much doing the separate play called Separate Tables, which is actually 2 plays back to back, in which Jody Strader and I played 4 different characters. Each played 2 different characters in the 2 plays. So that was one of the memorable things about the old bark mill.
Any other disastrous line troubles?
Oh, there are lots of them. I remember one time back again in the old bark mill, we were doing the Country Girl. And I started off playing Bernie Dodd, the hotshot young guy, and I'm sorry. I started off playing one part, and about halfway through the rehearsals, the guy who was doing another part quit, and it was a larger. They switched me into that one. We got into a scene, and Boyd Headley and Jody walked in, and I thought we were in one scene. I said, go, and gave them my line for them to go, and I insisted they go, and they were hesitant. I really insist they go. The minute they walked out the door, I realized I jumped into the 3rd act. But Boyd saved my life. He came back and he said, I'm not leaving here till we get this thing straightened out. And we took off and went on from there. So it was, we all fall, believe me. But there's been a lot of hard work, but it's been worth it, because it's meant we have our own home. We can do what we want with it. We can expand it, as has been done. In many instances, thanks to the generosity of a lot of great people in the community, for which we are eternally grateful. It's a great project. It's a great organization. I've gotten a lot out of it personally, and of course, you get out of it a lot what you put into it. You are now a very extremely active member of the group, so you know what's the sacrifice involved. And you like me have a wife at home who has participated. I couldn't have done it without mine, and I'm sure you feel the same about yours. So that it's just been a wonderful experience. I've enjoyed it, and wouldn't have it any other way.
And we've enjoyed having you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dick.
We're at the home of Irvin and B. O'Connell, 227